Right now, your air conditioner is making cold air. Every minute it runs, it is pulling warm room air across a cold coil, removing the heat from it, and pushing cooled air back out into your house. That is the whole job. That is what you are paying for when you pay your electric bill. But here is what the electric company does not tell you. In a typical American home, somewhere between $1 in every 4 and $1 in every 5 you spend on cooling never reaches a single room. It leaks out of your duct system before it gets there. Into the attic, into the wall cavities, into the crawl space beneath your floor. You bought the cold air. You paid for it. And a quarter of it went somewhere you did not intend. This is the video I have been building toward since video 1. We sealed the ceiling in video 1 and sealed the hatch in video 2. Now we are going inside the ducts themselves. And when you understand what I am about to show you, I think you will look at the vent registers in your rooms differently for the rest of your life. I am Silas Yoder. 40 years inspecting old farmhouses and modern subdivisions both, and the duct problem is one of the most consistent things I have ever measured. It does not matter if the house was built in 1962 or 2002. Leaky ducts show up in almost all of them. Let me put a real number on what we are talking about, because without the number it is too easy to shrug this off. STAR, which is the joint program of the U.S. Department of Energy and the Environmental Protection Agency, has measured residential duct leakage across thousands of homes. Their published finding is consistent. The typical American home with forced air heating and cooling loses 20 to 30% of the conditioned air moving through the duct system. Berkeley National Laboratory, a federal research facility, ran field measurements on actual California houses using a test called Duct. Their average came in at 22% of total air handler flow. An older study from Sacramento, published through the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy and co-authored by LBNL researchers, found distribution losses on the order of 35% in houses with ducts outside the conditioned space. Let me make the 22% number physical for you, because percentages are easy to gloss over. Your typical 3-ton home air conditioner moves 1,200 cubic feet of air per minute. That is the airflow a 3-ton system is designed to deliver. 22% of 1,200 is 264 cubic feet per minute. That is the volume of air in a small bathroom, escaping your ducts into the attic every single minute your system runs. Not occasionally, every minute. All summer long, that air was cold. Your compressor spent electricity to make it cold. Your air handler spent electricity to move it. And it went into the attic, where it immediately mixed with 130-degree air and became useless to you. A 3/4 ton equivalent of your cooling capacity, gone. Before it reaches your bedroom, before it reaches your living room, before it does anything at all for the family inside that house. And here is where I want you to sit for a moment, because this is the thing that changes how you think about your thermostat. When your house does not cool down the way you expect, when you set it to 68 and it still feels warm, the instinct is to think the system is undersized, or that something is broken, or that you just need a bigger unit. But if a quarter of your system's output is leaking into the attic, the unit is not undersized. The ducts are undersized in what they actually deliver. You could replace your air conditioner with a bigger one, and the ducts would just leak more air at a higher volume. Same money out, same problem inside. Now let me show you where the leaks actually come from, because they are not random holes. They follow a pattern I have seen in house after house, and once you know the pattern, you can find your own leaks in an afternoon. Ducts are assembled from metal sections, fiberglass ductboard, or flexible plastic tube. Every piece connects to another piece. Every connection is a potential leak. The most common leak points are at the boots, the rectangular or round fittings that drop through the ceiling or floor to connect to your registers. The boot is supposed to seal against the ceiling or floor surface. In most houses, it does not. There is a gap. Air escapes into the wall cavity or the attic before it ever reaches the register opening. Second most common, the joints between duct sections themselves. Metal duct is assembled with what are called drive cleats and S-cleats, mechanical connections that hold the metal together. They are not inherently airtight. Somebody at installation was supposed to seal those joints with mastic or proper tape. In most residential duct systems installed before 2010, they did not. Or they used the wrong material. And this brings me to something that has bothered me for years. The tool in everyone's garage, the thing we all call duct tape. The gray cloth-backed roll that has been sold as a home repair, essential for decades. That tape does not belong on ducts. Berkeley National Laboratory ran accelerated aging tests on duct sealants in the early 2000s, published as study LBNL 57225. The result was direct. Cloth-backed rubber adhesive tape, the common duct tape, failed consistently and often catastrophically under the thermal cycling that duct systems experience. The heat and cold of a seasonal system, contracting and expanding metal, that tape does not survive it. If someone sealed your ducts with regular duct tape, those seals have probably already failed, possibly within the first few years of installation. What actually works is mastic. It is a thick paste, looks like peanut butter, goes on with a brush or a gloved hand, and it bonds to the metal surface permanently. It flexes as the metal moves. The same LBNL study found mastic showed no measurable degradation over the full testing period. The other option is metal-backed foil tape rated UL 181, a specific certification that confirms the adhesive is designed for thermal cycling, not the cloth tape. The silver foil tape with the UL 181 rating. Those two things, mastic on the joints and UL 181 foil tape for boot connections, are what actually seals a duct system. But before I tell you how to find your leaks, I want to tell you about the old farmhouses. Because as always, they understood something that modern construction then forgot. The old Pennsylvania farmhouses I walked through for 40 years did not have ducts. There was no distribution system running through the attic. Heat came from a central stove or furnace in the middle of the house, and it moved by radiation and natural convection through the rooms. The warmest floor was the one closest to the heat source. Upstairs was cooler in winter. There was no pretense of equal temperature distribution. People adapted their lives to the physics, sleeping upstairs in summer because it was warm, moving closer to the stove in winter. When central forced air systems became standard in American homes after World War II, they brought an expectation that every room would be the same temperature. That expectation required ducts, and ducts, assembled by human hands from separate parts in the middle of a house under construction, under time pressure, in hot attics and cramped crawl spaces, with whoever happened to be on the crew that day, were never going to be perfectly airtight from the start. The idea that they would remain airtight for the 30-year life of the house without any maintenance was always a form of wishful thinking. And here is the honest piece of this story that I want you to understand. The attic is the worst possible place to run ducts, and yet the attic is where almost every forced air system puts them. Your attic in July is 120 to 140 degrees. Your ducts are carrying 55-degree supply air. The temperature difference across the duct wall is sometimes 80 or 90 degrees. Every imperfection in the duct surface, every small gap, every inadequately sealed seam is pushing cold air into hot space. The physics work against you every hour the system runs. The attic does not have to be trying to rob your cooling. It just does, by physics alone. That is why the Sacramento study found 35% losses in houses with attic ducts. The location is the problem. The sealing failure makes it worse. Now, if you can feel the system working, how do you know how bad your leakage actually is? There are professional tests for this. A test called Duct Blaster pressurizes the duct system and measures how much air escapes. An energy auditor or HVAC technician with the right equipment can give you a precise number. For a professional measurement with a full report, expect to pay somewhere between $150 and $300. If you live in a state that offers energy efficiency rebates, the test may be subsidized. But before you spend money on a test, there are 3 free things you can check yourself that will tell you whether you have a significant problem. First, go to every supply register in your house during a cooling cycle. Put your hand over the register. You should feel a steady flow of cool air. If 1 or 2 registers feel weak or barely flowing while others feel strong, that is often a sign of leakage or blockage in the branch duct serving the weak register. Second, go up into your attic during the day while the system is running, if it is safe to do so. Find where your ducts run. Put your hand near every connection point, every boot, every seam. If you feel cold air coming from a connection, that is a leak. In a tight attic, that can be uncomfortable work, but it is the most direct confirmation you can get. Third, look at your electric bill against the average for your climate zone and house size. The U.S. Energy Information Administration publishes average residential electricity consumption by state. If your cooling costs are significantly above the average for your region, inefficient duct delivery is one of the first places to look. Now let me talk about the fix, and I'm going to give you the honest version with real numbers, because there are 2 very different situations and they call for different approaches. If your ducts are accessible, in an unfinished basement, in an open attic where you can reach the trunks and branches, you can do meaningful DIY sealing. You need mastic sealant, sold at any HVAC supply house or large hardware store for about $20 per gallon. a jar of fiberglass mesh tape for gaps wider than a 1/4 inch, and disposable gloves because mastic is messy. You brush the mastic onto every joint, every seam, every boot connection, every point where 2 pieces of metal or duct board touch each other. Let it cure, and it will outlast the duct system itself. A reasonable DIY weekend on accessible ducts might reduce your leakage by 15 to 25% of what you currently lose. Materials cost under $100. If your system is losing 25% of its output and you reduce that by half, your effective delivered cooling goes up meaningfully. In a hot climate with a system running 6 hours a day, that matters on your bill within the first month. If your ducts are inaccessible, buried in finished walls or above a finished ceiling or in a tight crawl space, you are looking at a professional solution called Aeroseal. Aeroseal was developed at Berkeley National Laboratory in the 1990s. The process pressurizes the duct system and injects a water-based vinyl acetate polymer aerosol from the inside. The particles accumulate at every leak edge, building up a flexible seal from the inside. You cannot reach those leaks by hand. Aeroseal can. DOE Building America documentation shows Aeroseal sealing 70 to 90% of residential duct leakage in tested installations. Annual energy savings documented at $600 to $850 per household. Cost for a typical 2,000 square foot home runs, $1,500 to $2,500. At $800 per year saved, the payback is 2 to 3 years. I am not going to tell you that Aeroseal is the right answer for everyone. It is not cheap. If your ducts are accessible and your leakage is moderate, DIY mastic is the right first step. If your ducts are buried and your leakage is severe, Aeroseal pays back faster than it costs. The decision depends on what you find when you look. And I want to add one honest limit here, because I said this in the first video, and I will keep saying it. Better duct sealing is one layer of a larger picture. It is a real layer. The numbers are real. But if your attic is still running at 135 degrees and your ducts are running through that attic, you are still fighting bad physics even after you seal the leaks. Reducing duct leakage and reducing attic temperature work together. That is why this is a series. Each video gives you one piece. The pieces add up. Now here's something I want you to sit with before I give you the practical checklist. The old farmhouses I inspected were imperfect buildings. Drafty in winter. Uneven in temperature. They asked something of the people who lived in them. You wore wool in January and opened windows in July. There was a relationship between a person and their house that required some accommodation on both sides. The modern house made a different promise. It said every room will be the same temperature, all year, without you thinking about it. And to keep that promise, it built a system that runs constantly, costs constantly, leaks constantly, and requires replacement constantly. And the only person who benefits from all that constant running and replacing is not you. The old way was not better in every sense. I am not going to tell you to tear out your HVAC system, but understanding why it leaks and sealing what you can seal is a way of taking a little of that old relationship back. It is you paying attention to your house instead of just paying the bill. Here is the practical checklist. Write these down. This week, run your system and check every supply register. Note the ones with weak flow. These are your diagnostic targets. This weekend, if your attic is accessible, go up with a flashlight during a cooling cycle. Find every duct joint you can reach. Feel for cold air leaking. Note the locations. Before the end of the month, buy a gallon of mastic and a roll of fiberglass mesh tape. Seal every accessible joint. This is a job you can do yourself. If you find extensive leakage in inaccessible areas, get a quote from an Aeroseal contractor. Ask them to do before and after testing so you have documented numbers. That documentation matters if you ever refinance or sell the house. And tell me in the comments what you found. Not just your state this time. Tell me your house's age, your duct type, whether your ducts run through the attic or through a basement or a conditioned space. I want to build a real map of how this problem distributes across the country, and I cannot do that without your specific information. The next video is the one I have been planning since before this series started. We are going to the roof itself, not the attic. The roof surface. I am going to show you what actually cools a roof, what does not, and why the answer is more honest than what is currently being sold online. Because I have watched the viral videos on this topic. I have read the claims, and some of what is being said is right, and some of it is wrong, and I am going to show you which is which. Subscribe before that one goes up, because the roof video is where this whole picture comes together. You have sealed the ceiling boundary. You have sealed the hatch. You have started on the ducts. The roof is the last layer. the one that makes everything below it work better or fight harder. And I want you to have the right information before you buy anything or do anything to it. Your air conditioner is making cold air. Now let's make sure more of it reaches you.